Almost all the advisors I work with have an assistant, and it depends on what the assistant needs to do. But I would say this just allows everyone to level up. Honestly, if you go with either of these, you'll be extremely happy. It is not team focused. And so Reclaim is really made for the individual, the entrepreneur, whatever. Whereas Motion actually has team pricing where you can actually schedule tasks as a team very easily. And it's really, really good at that. So now what I've done is at the end of my day, I've done all my meetings with all my transcriptions. All of my action items that I need to take out of those meetings are automatically in my calendar. I don't have to think, and they're automatically prioritized based off of priority. Hello. Welcome back. It's Massimo, Advisor Tech Trends. I'm really excited to be here today. This is one, as you guys know, in these podcasts or in this podcast, I talk about all things advisor tech, all things tech. I have been following along on a bunch of things. Like I'm a big nerd on crypto and a big nerd on AI and just anything that makes my life easier, honestly. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about smart scheduling, AI scheduling. Some of you may not even know about this. In one of my more recent episodes, I talked about meeting recording software, and a lot of people know about those. They've seen them. But this one's really interesting. So, smart scheduling, AI scheduling. What the heck is that? Probably the easiest way to explain it is think of a calendar and think of all the things you have to do in a day. Meetings with clients, maybe some tasks that you have to do in between. And a lot of times it takes a lot of thinking on, okay, what are you going to do next? Who's going to do it? Do I prioritize doing this task or that task? Do I do it today or tomorrow? And so these tools are trying to alleviate that. A lot of them pitch that they are basically an assistant for like $100 a month or whatever. And so it's a calendar, but it automatically moves things around based on your day, based on your priorities. And so here's a prime example. Let's say you have a meeting at 9 and a meeting at 2, and from 10 to 2, you have nothing. Well, during that time, you can set up these calendars to say, the morning is my most productive. And as you go through the day or the week and you're recording tasks that you have to do, it will automatically prioritize tasks in that most productive time of day. If you forget to do those tasks, it will automatically reprioritize them into the next day, and they'll move it up in the list. It can do fun things like it can shift things around, tasks around based on priority or timeline. It can split tasks, do a half hour here, half hour there in between meetings or before and after a meeting. And so it's a really good way to just get that stuff out of your head. And that's something I've struggled with over the years where I take a lot of meetings. I go into the meetings. There's action items out of the meetings. And then when I get out, I have to note them all down, and I just would put them in a list. And maybe I'd put a priority, but it wasn't really working for me. It was a lot of upkeep. And so that's what these tools do. And so in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about two of the most popular tools. One is called Reclaim.ai, and the other one is called Motion. The AI piece that both of these have, I'll talk a little bit more about, but the idea is they have some algorithms to try to reprioritize your day, give you insights into your day, when you're getting things done the most, etc. So both of these tools have been around for probably 2-3 years now. Motion was kind of first on the scene, as far as I can tell. They started, got a lot of investment. You've probably seen their ads, and Reclaim kind of followed suit, and they're both doing quite well. So I've tried both. I'm personally on one of them. I'll talk about that. And let's get into it. So how I'm going to compare these is kind of among 3 metrics. It's kind of like how I do a lot of these episodes. Price is one, so you guys should know the price. Integration capabilities, like what calendars does it integrate with, and what CRMs and other tools. And then last is smart scheduling capability, both on a team aspect and a personal aspect. Like, is one better than the other with their algorithms and their team scheduling? Okay, so let's get into it. I'll start with Reclaim. So this is actually one I use. Like I said, I've used both. Reclaim from the price angle, it's really good. They have a free plan. They actually allow you to do quite a bit on the free plan. You can integrate it with your Google Calendar. You can see all of your meetings come in. That's probably one of the downsides of Reclaim at this point, is it only integrates with Google Calendar. So if you're a Google user, it's great. Honestly, Motion as well is Google first. Google is like the calendar that allows people to integrate the most. Google is Google. They give a lot of data to whoever they want. And so both of these are Google first applications, but Reclaim only works with Google currently. They've had Outlook on their list of applications that are coming for quite a while. It's still not there. But yeah, they have a free plan. It'll integrate. It'll actually bring in your meetings. What it doesn't have in the free plan, they also have a paid plan that is $8 a month. So it's quite affordable. And it's funny, both of these guys, if you switch between them, they give you discounts if you're coming from one and going to the other. So keep that in mind if you're looking. But for $8 a month, it does quite a bit. So by far, this is cheaper than Motion. So Motion they don't have a free plan. You have to pay. They really push you to pay yearly. And it turns out to be $19 a month. So 2.5 times or 2 times as expensive. There are some benefits you get with that price. We'll talk about integration and stuff, but like, for example, Motion has a mobile app. Reclaim does not. It's desktop first. So there are things like that you should keep in mind, but price-wise, Reclaim wins. It's cheaper. Now, there are reasons. Like I said, no mobile app. It is not team-focused. And so Reclaim is really made for the individual, the entrepreneur, whatever. Whereas Motion actually has team pricing where you can actually schedule tasks as a team very easily. And it's really, really good at that. So there is a reason for the higher price. But me personally, I tried Motion for a while, maybe about 3 months before I switched over to Reclaim because I was just using it for myself. I had a Google Calendar and it did just about everything, like the core features of syncing with your calendar, allowing you to put tasks into the CRM, all kind of worked really well. And I didn't need to switch things around, right? So I really liked Reclaim. I actually used the discount code that I'm talking about where I actually moved I moved from Motion to Reclaim. And I think they gave me another 15% off for the year or something. So keep that in mind. So price-wise, Reclaim wins. Let's talk about integration. So integration is a key one. And when I say integration, what I mean by that is like, which calendars does it integrate with? That's kind of the most important one in this comparison. So they both integrate with Google Calendar out of box really well. Motion takes the cake. It integrates with Outlook Calendar as well. It also has a mobile app. It also integrates with a number of CRMs out of box if you want that. So it can actually take tasks and things from your CRM and bring it in. So integration-wise, Motion does win. Reclaim integrates with Google Calendar. It does integrate with some project management and task management. So if you're a developer, it can integrate with some of your developer task management tools. It integrates with like Todoist and Google Tasks. So there are a lot out there. I found when I was looking, the only one I integrated it with was Google Task. I use that quite a bit, and it worked really well. So although they integrate with less, they're trying, honestly, to keep it pretty bare bones. Like they're really trying to focus on just your everyday use of calendar scheduling. And just to take kind of like a sidebar here for a second and talk a little bit about what I mean by calendar scheduling. These tools are so neat where you can actually set up times of day or blocks of day for different types of calendars. So you can set like a work calendar from 9 to 5. That integrates with your Google. So all your meetings will automatically go into Reclaim. Then you can set up a nighttime calendar and a personal calendar after hours. And so whenever you get a new task, you can say, this belongs in the nighttime, this belongs in the daytime, this belongs in the work, and it'll schedule it accordingly. Now, even cooler, each of these calendars have a Calendly-esque tool for scheduling, and they call it smart scheduling. And so what the smart scheduling does is it will actually, you can send a link out to a client. The client gets the link and they can book, and it will actually book them in and around all the tasks you have to do. So for example, if you have a task that is due today at 5, even if you have time from 3 to 5 in your calendar, it will make the client book the next day because you have this task to do. So it gets smarter over time, which is when the assistant piece comes into this, right? Like that's typically what a human would do. They would know your priorities. They would know what you have to get done, and they would communicate with the other person to get that done. With Reclaim or Motion, it starts doing that for you. It's really, really cool. And so in my world, I started using it about 6 months ago. Actually, no, sorry, about a year ago, Reclaim. And this is what I do. So my Fathom follows me into every meeting. I think I talked about that in another episode. So Fathom records the calls, gives me a note, gives me a summary. That all goes in my CRM. In parallel, any of the action items that came out of that meeting, automatically get transcribed from Fathom and automatically get put into my Reclaim. So now I go to my call, I can focus on it. I don't have to think about writing notes. The notes are then written for me and put in my CRM. And the action items that I have to do are automatically put into my Reclaim calendar. So now what I've done is at the end of my day, I've done all my meetings with all my transcriptions. All of my action items that I need to take out of those meetings are automatically in my calendar. I don't have to think, and they're automatically prioritized based off of priority. So you can do this with Motion or Reclaim. But I just wanted to take that little sidebar to really explain the power of these tools and where they're going. I'll talk a little bit about that at the end. So the last piece in the metrics, so we talked about price, Reclaim kind of wins that area. Integration, honestly, Motion kind of wins that area, especially for teams. It's really good at that. So going into the teams, the last piece is smart scheduling. So what I mean by smart scheduling, like how good are these AIs at scheduling? I would honestly say, okay, so Reclaim is very good. They've been pumping a lot of time and effort into their algorithm. They were recently bought by Dropbox. So I don't really know where or what innovation will come out of that. Hopefully sometimes with these acquisitions, companies kind of go to die, for lack of a better word. But everything I can tell with Reclaim, I'm still a subscriber from them. They've still been pumping out new features. So the signs are good. However, for the scheduling, Reclaim is really good. Like you can send out your calendar link. It'll schedule in there. I've noticed the only part I don't like is it's when it reschedules a task, it takes a little while to do it. So if I had to do a task at 1 and it's now 4 p.m., it still hasn't moved it to another time. And so it kind of resets daily, which is maybe on purpose, but I enjoyed it more in Motion where it was quicker than that. Just because if I miss something, I would want it to kind of move things around accordingly instead of me waiting for the next day. But that's kind of a small thing. Like it's not a huge deal. I have found that it is really good at scheduling out my days. And over time, it actually learns like what kind of tasks I want to get done sooner than later and what type of energy in those tasks I need. If I have a certain type of energy level I need to do a certain type of thing, it'll put it at the beginning of the day. Motion, on the other hand, totally kicks butt again, where on the team side. And so if you're the type of person looking to have 3 or 4 or 2 or more people in this app, Motion really does well there. They have a great mobile app. The scheduling's almost instant. It really moves things around really well. I honestly didn't give Motion a ton of, I maybe gave it 2 months use before I switched over to Reclaim, just because I kind of looked at Reclaim and said, you know what, for my needs, this works. But from everything I read and all the reviews I've read about both of these, Reclaim kind of, the smart scheduling is much more accurate, especially with a team. It works really well. So I would keep that in mind. I mean, I guess the point there is they're kind of at par with the smart scheduling. It's just if you need to take it up a notch, have mobile capability, have a team, then Motion will win. If you're kind of like, it's just me, then Reclaim will win. And I mean, it's kind of like all these things, right? Like ChatGPT, which is OpenAI's product, and Google Gemini, and all of these other GPTs or language models, they're all kind of becoming commoditized, meaning like they're all very similar. Like the models are kind of about to intersect, honestly. Like they're all kind of doing the same thing at the same level. And so that's something to think about with these tools too. Like these tools are all kind of coming together. They're kind of doing the same thing at the same level. And so what you're looking for is certain vectors like price or maybe team-based or whatever. They are going to start competing in certain little verticals or value adds that are maybe not your value add. And so keep that in mind. And so to kind of summarize, Reclaim is really good for task meetings and priorities. Motion is really good at team-based. So Reclaim is cheaper, $9 a month versus 19 of Reclaim. Motion really excels for structured task management, especially for teams. If you have a team, you should almost for sure go to Motion. And so I guess in those two metrics, it's like it's cheaper for Reclaim, better for a one-man shop. They're both really good at scheduling. Motion is more expensive, better for mobile and team-based, both kind of scheduled the same. Honestly, if you go with either of these, you'll be extremely happy. Where I see these going, a lot of them are kind of building in things like Fathom right into them. So they're recording the meetings, they're recording your tasks, they're putting it in the system. I've also seen a few of them like actually starting to dabble with sending out meeting summaries via email to clients. So now kind of on that assistant game, it's like, okay, I had the meeting, it got scheduled, I finished the meeting, it recorded it, it sends the summary and next action items to the client. So now you're just really on autopilot going to meetings. Everything's compliant. Everything is there. So from an advisor standpoint, like I'm obviously not an advisor, but I work with a lot of them. Almost all the advisors I work with have an assistant, and it depends on what the assistant needs to do. But I would say this just allows everyone to level up. Even if you have your assistant continue to join your meetings, this is still a huge win for them where it'll summarize everything and they can really focus on putting the right tasks in your calendar. If you don't want to do the fully automated way that I did, I think the name of the game here is it's compliant, meaning it records everything, it puts it in your calendar. B, it prioritizes your time. That is huge. That was a big win for me where now I know what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and it's getting smart where it starts knowing when I should do certain things, probably even better than me, right? And so as an advisor, you should always be looking for tools that allow you to give more time, brain power to your clients. I think this is one of them. I love them. They're really rocking it. I can't live without Reclaim now. Like I literally go in there multiple times a day to see what I have to do next. It's great. I think you guys should check them out. And as always, please like, comment, subscribe. I love chatting with you guys. Love hearing from you. I'm going to keep putting content out like this and see you in the next one.